A real estate investor recently posted a question on Reddit that I came across, which stated, hey, I want to transfer real estate into a limited liability company, and my servicer tells me I cannot. Otherwise, I risk accelerating my note. Well, in this video, I'm going to break that down for you, and I'm going to show you the truth, both what Freddie and Fannie allow when it comes to transfers into limited liability companies. And for whatever reason, if your loan isn't owned by Freddie or Fannie, what are some of the steps you can take to make sure you can get your investment property into an LLC without risking accelerating your mortgage? All right, let's get started. So here's the thing. Right? Who's really calling the shots here? There's two players that matter. One is the investor. The other is going to be Freddie or Fannie. Okay, they're the ones who publish the playbook. The servicer of your loan, let's say it's US Bank, like in this post that was put up there on Reddit, all their job is to enforce the note, right? To make sure you're paying on time. All right, you do not position or petition Freddie or Fannie, you're petitioning the servicer. And so if your deed or your promissory note has in it some type of trigger, a due on sale, which is in most of them, that if you transfer title to property, which you've probably heard about this before, the lender can accelerate. Well, it really depends on who is the actual holder of the note, not the servicer. See, the servicer, as I stated, just make sure the note's getting paid and serviced on time. The owner determines what is permissible and what is not. Now, in order to make this work, what you have to do is you have to make sure that your note initially is held by Freddie or Fannie. Now, how do you go about determining that? Okay, what you need to do is you need to go to the internet and go to Freddie Loan Lookup Tool or Fannie Loan Lookup Tool. And it's going to bring you to this site right here. I think with this one I went to Freddie. So this is Freddie Loan Lookup Tool. It looks very similar to Fannie Loan Lookup Tool. And all you got to do here is you just put in your property address for your rental property or investment property. Put all that in, put in the last 4 digits of your social security number right here, and then hit submit. And it'll tell you whether or not, in this case, Freddie owns your note. Now, the other example you'll use is Fannie. Okay, do this for Fannie. So if Freddie comes back and says, I don't own it, then look to see whether or not Fannie owns that note. So if one of them owns the note, okay, for this investment property, that is the lender you originally took out the note with, they've now sold it to them, well, you're going to get a free pass to transfer that property into the limited liability company. Now, the problem is that servicers get this wrong all the time. It's because they're not aware of what the rules are. And I've seen it happen time and time again. You see, Fannie created a clean lane for LLCs for transfers of investment real estate back in 2016. You see, if Fannie purchases your note after or owns it after June 1st of 2016, in its servicing guide, all right, it treats transfers into LLCs that you control. All right, so what that means is that I got to go back to a blank screen here. If you're going to transfer your property, say you've set up a limited liability company here, and I'm over here, and I'm going to move this property into this LLC, I have to be in control of that LLC. So what does that mean, control? Okay, so it means that I'm either a manager up here, or I am a majority owner down here of that LLC, 51% owner. So sometimes people get this confused. They think, well, Clint, I'm following your strategy here. I don't own this red box because that LLC, for example, this one we have here, it's a Washington LLC, and I don't want my name on it because I'm looking for anonymity. I've actually placed that LLC into a Wyoming LLC, and then I own the Wyoming LLC. Well, that's fine. It's still you, right? We just have some indirect ownership there. As long as you have it set up this way, then it meets their servicing guideline, which allows you to transfer the property, and it doesn't violate the due on sale clause. All right, now, one thing you need to understand as well, that when you put this property in to the LLC, keep in mind that if you want to refinance it, you're going to have to take it out, unless you can get a DSCR loan or some other type of loan that allows for that, or a community lender would do this to refinance a property. If you're going to use the conventional note loan route, then you have to pull the property back out in order to do that refi. Now, Freddie Mac, they also have formalized the same idea, but they did it in 2021. And so its guide states that additional permitted transfers of ownership, so you can look this up, you can Google it, including transfers to a limited liability company or limited partnership when certain conditions are met, are acceptable. So what does that look like and what does that mean? as with Fannie and Freddie, both the rules are pretty much identical. As long as you're in control and you're the owner of it, you can transfer that property into the LLC and it will not trigger it. So this is pretty straightforward when it comes to doing this. So if you ever get pushback, like this individual who posted this question, what you need to do is go back to that servicer and inform them, hey, per these guidelines, this is permitted. Now, most of the time I tell people, why are you contacting your servicer to begin with? Just transfer it, and if they discover it, which they never will, as long as you are paying your mortgage on time, right? And you're insuring the property and you're paying your property taxes, it's a non-issue. But there are those people, I get it, they're just the people that are always worrying about everything, looking over their shoulder. They think it's doom and gloom, that if they do this, something's going to happen. So they want to get everything straightened out ahead of time. Listen, I don't fall into that mindset. I just think, hey, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. And in this case, even after forgiveness, it doesn't matter because there's nothing to forgive. It's already provided for. Now, here's something that I want you to be aware of, okay? So in that particular situation with that individual who posted the question, one of the things that I caught when reading the post, and I want you to understand this as well, is that he was transferring a property that used to be a personal residence. Now, this is where you can possibly run into problems here. That is, if you have a property you bought and it was a personal residence, now you've turned that into an investment property, right? And now you want to transfer that investment property into a limited liability company. Maybe you're using the BRRRR strategy where you're actually living in it first and then rehabbing it and then moving it in. So in that particular case, what happens is that you have a certain type of loan when you are buying it for a personal residence. And when you're doing to that, what you're going to have is there's this provision in there many times that states you need to live there, okay? So even though you're converting it into a rental, technically that violates that provision, but it's not a transfer. So what it states is that you still need to live in that property. And if you're transferring into an LLC and it's an investment property, well, you violated the mortgage. So that could create a problem for you. So what are your choices then in that scenario? Or in the event, maybe your loan isn't yet owned by Freddie or Fannie, and so it's still held by your original lender, and they don't have to follow those guidelines, right? They have in there that if you transfer property, then they can accelerate the note. Well, in that case, this is what you need to do. It's a strategy we've been using here at Anderson for over 24 years to help our clients get their properties protected. And it's pretty simple. What we will do is we have our investor, we have our property, we will create this entity right here. And I've got lots of videos on my channel about this. It's called a land trust. All right, so now a land trust is this. Note this is really important here, okay? A land trust is a grantor trust, all right? Never refer to this trust as a land trust. So if anybody ever questions you, a servicer, your lender, about what type of trust it is, if they discover a transfer like this, you always tell them it's a grantor trust. Now, number one, you tell them that. If they ask you, why did you set up this trust? This is what you want to say: estate planning. All right? You set up for estate planning, meaning why? What do you mean estate planning? To bypass probate. That's really important that you get this down, because this is what's going to protect this transfer. Because what we're going to do is we're going to deed the property into the trust name. Now, when you deed it into the trust, let me get rid of some of this right here. You're going to be listed as the beneficiary of this trust. Now, why is that important? Because if a lender asks to see a copy of the trust, then they're going to want to see that you're the beneficiary, because per the loan, right, you're supposed to be living in the property, have rights of occupancy to the property. So we want them to let them know, hey, I'm still the beneficiary, and it provides in the trust document that I can still live there. So we're meeting all these requirements. More importantly, by transferring the trust, lenders do not accelerate when properties are transferred into trust, grantor trusts. But if they thought it was a land trust, then they might accelerate because they know that it's set up for a different purpose now. Which brings up another point here. about the title to this trust. The mistake that I see a lot of new investors make who take this strategy here and use it to avoid the due on sale clause in their mortgage is they'll create a trust and they'll call it here the Big Bird Land Trust. Okay, so that's a dead giveaway because that's what's going to go on title. Never use the word land trust when you're setting up these trusts. Just call it the Big Bird Trust if you want to use Big Bird in there. Throw it in there. Now, once that property's in the trust, it doesn't give us the asset protection that we're looking for. In order to obtain the asset protection, we need to put our trust into a limited liability company right here. Now, how do you move your trust into your LLC? What you will do is you prepare what is referred to as an assignment. Okay, assignment of beneficial, I'll just put Benny interest. So what you'll write in there is I Clint Coons, the sole beneficiary of the Big Bird Trust, hereby transfer and assign my beneficial interest to, okay, Gold Town Limited Liability Company. Psst, sign that and you're done. Now the trust is owned by the LLC. That information, that strategy right there that I just shared with you, that is the workaround. If your property is not owned by Freddie or Fannie and you want to put it directly into the LLC, then you want to use a land trust instead of that, in lieu of that, so you can get it into this and you'll have asset protection. So this is a key thing when it comes to transferring real estate. The individual who posted that question on Reddit and that problem he was dealing with, real simple to solve. Set up the land trust in his case because it was a primary residence converted into rental. But if it was a rental to begin with, all we'd have to do is check to see if it's owned by Freddie or Fannie. If it was, slides right into the LLC despite what the servicer was telling him. If not, we go the land trust route. These are great strategies and we talk about them in more detail on our tax and asset protection event for real estate investors. So if this has piqued your interest and you want to learn more about how this tool here can work for your investing, I'd like to invite you to a free one-day workshop. We hold these on Saturdays. There is a link in the show notes below. Just go ahead and click on that link. Go down there, click on the link, and you can get registered for it. I guarantee you, you'll learn so much about how to protect your assets at this one-day event and how to put more money back in your pocket. You're guaranteed to leave there in a better position than when you started. Take care, and I wish you the very best with your investing.